What's happening? This is Kid Fonque on Selective Styles, and I am talking to the Don, someone who owns one of the biggest house labels in the world, someone that I've had the pleasure of hanging out with in his offices in London and in our offices when I used to work at Soul Candy. His name is Simon Dunmore, owner of Defected Records. Welcome. It's amazing, you know, we've had, I suppose, our own little journey. Soul Candy had its own label deal with Defected Records back in the day, and what that meant was that Soul Candy could put out anything that Defected was touching at the time, and that brought you into my world, and I got to learn about the big giant that Defected is. You're over 20 years old now.
21 years, yeah. We started in 1999, January the 1st. We've evolved as a company and a music business, and we've been fortunate enough to be associated with some amazing records and work with some incredible producers. But a label is only as good as the music that it releases.
Yeah, 100%. So you released some real strong songs in your 21 years, from Dennis Ferrer to DJ Gregory. The list goes on, and I remember just discovering this label through Soul Candy, and in a sense you kind of taught Soul Candy the compilation game.
I guess that I'm really fortunate that I identified what I felt I was really good at. I mean, I never tried to be anything that I'm not. So what I feel that I'm really good at, I can hear a record, identify with that record, and then try and shout and amplify it.
Sure.
I try to shout about the music that I love, whether that be when I was working in a store, going to a DJ, you need to listen to this record. This record's, the shit, and you need to play this weekend because your crowd's going to go crazy. When you're DJing, you're telling your audience on the dance floor that this record is something you need to know about. So all of those processes that I've been involved with as a music fan, or as an employee at a record store, or then owning your own label, it's the same process. It's like hearing a record that you love and then just spreading the word.
And you've done an incredible job. I mean, you guys not only are a record label now, you handle bookings, you do publishing, and you are a brand that has events globally. How does this all work together?
I think that house music hasn't always been popular. When EDM came along, house music had a really tough time. I mean, not in South Africa. You guys are your own ecosystem.
Yeah,
you love.
I witnessed what happens here. South Africa is really committed to house.
And I've been, 2 or 3 times, and every time I go, I'm always just like wowed by the passion and the connection and records. House music is almost spiritual in South Africa, and that doesn't exist in the rest of the world. I mean, it's an amazing thing to witness when you go from the outside. But like we've had our challenges, like when EDM was really popular around in the UK and Europe and in America. We were like that creates challenges for us, because when you're trying to promote your record on a radio or in a magazine or online or on blogs and whatever, and you're not the current in vogue sound, how do you get over that hurdle? So that's why we started to do events, because the way that we figured it was, we may not be the most popular thing at the moment, but we know we've got an audience. We know we've got fans around the world. And the internet was an amazing thing, actually, because it allowed you to connect directly with your audience.
Sure.
But you've got to have visibility. You've got to have a reason for them to want to come visit your page, or look at your blog, or your Instagram or your Facebook, or what. So we worked really hard at being giving people that reason to connect with us.
Sure. No, I mean, you definitely shout house music from the highest tops, without a doubt. But the one thing that's kind of connected us today is this journey that you have embarked on with Bridges for Music, which seems to be connecting defected music to back to South Africa.
I met Valentino many years ago. He told me about the academy and him trying to help kids from underprivileged backgrounds, etc., as a gateway into the music industry, production, etc. And it's always been something that we've been aware of. But I think we've managed to get ourselves into a good place, and it just seemed like a really good opportunity for us to invest in the future and work with people that that maybe don't have the opportunities that we have certainly experienced as ourselves, and having been to South Africa and seen the talent and the opportunities. It's like being a football player. If you've got a gift, you can have that gift, no matter what your circumstances are. Privileged people have the opportunity to exploit that gift, but maybe if you're not really, given kind of opportunities, you never know. So we've been working with Valentino and to identify some kids from the townships and seeing if we can help them develop their skills. And give them the opportunities. I mean, everybody looks up to, your Black Coffees, and he's an amazing ambassador for South Africa, South
100%.
African music, and having someone like that gives people hope.
Sure.
And the fact that house music is a very unique, I believe, in a genre of music, because it brings people together like no other genre.
But I completely understand what you're talking about. House music brings people together, and that's what happens on my radio show every single Sunday. I have essentially like a tribe of people that are just dying to hear new house music, and Twitter just ignites because people are just so committed to hearing new music in this house format. And 90% of the time I'm playing music they've never heard before, or that's coming out in the next couple of months or weeks. And people just go crazy. So yeah, you're 100% right. It is a way of bringing people together, and it has this almost tribal sense about it, where everybody just wants to be in the vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I think the community aspect of what you're doing, like you say, with your show and creating people that can connect with each other, that share philosophies, share their taste in music. I mean, our holy grail is that if we play a record and our community connects with it, they actually do our shouting for us.
100%.
We don't have to say anything at that point. We go, here's a record, we think you're going to love it. And then they actually go to their friends, you need to hear this record. If you gain people's trust and they're with you, that's just a really amazing thing to be involved with. So, and then that makes you keep your standards at a really high level. You can't not deliver. The moment you start under-delivering, you lose people. And if you lose people
will
really
call you out, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's important, exactly what you're saying. If you're going to be representing something and your standards are here, you can't be coming in with fillers and B-sides. It needs to be strong every single time.
Our thing about Bridges for Music is that we know that we posted, actually. We posted about a South African DJ playing a Lady Alma record at a gig.
Yeah.
And the DJ filmed this kid in the crowd, literally lost, singing every word, every breath and whatever. He was just lost. And if we can help kids produce those kind of records, that's the next generation. That's I'm getting on a little. I'm 58 this year. I need to have a legacy. I need to pass on my experience, how I see the industry, the good and the bad, and people that conduct themselves well and produce great records and invest in the culture, invest in music, invest in collaborating with musicians, collaborating with songwriters, and the craft of making records and the craft of making music.
I'm really, really excited to see what you're going to be doing with Bridges for Music moving forward. Hopefully we can be in touch and we can get to hear the productions that are coming out of this collaboration and get to debut them on Selective Styles moving forward. Simon Dunmore, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Something I've always enjoyed doing is just sitting and getting all Simon's knowledge and wealth of history and house music.
You know, we love the music that you guys are producing. It's you need to know that my son, 21 years old, is obsessed with Afro house. I mean,
oh, really? Yeah, the Afro scene that's coming out of SA is just something else. It's taking the world by storm. And I mean, you got to shout out to Kulo and Kofi and Shimza, because these are the guys that are waving the flag very high for this production sound. And it just seems to be gaining momentum constantly.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and especially with the kids around Europe as well, and it's really, really influential, and sometimes it doesn't get the kudos and the credibility that I think that it really deserves. This is not about us having huge commercial success. This is about us getting recognition for the people that are coming through, and amplifying the fact that great music can come from ground zero. You know, you could be a kid in your township with your small setup. You can make a record, and literally it can catapult you from being an unknown and give you a platform and a stage around the world. And everyone needs to have that hope and that ambition and the belief that they could do well for themselves.
Simon Dunmore, you are an inspiration. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
5FM. Watch 5FM TV on YouTube. 5FM.